Hi, welcome to another session. Today we're talking about the weather. We must weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Try that again. We must weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Today we're going to give you terms about weather. Something we talk about all the time in small talk. And it's something we need to understand when we listen to weather reports on the radio or on the TV or on the internet. So who is someone who looks after the weather on the TV? We call them the weatherman. Actually, if they work for the department that predicts the weather, we call him or her a meteorologist. And a person who works with weather is working for the meteorological department. So let's get into some terms about weather. So when you listen to the weather report, these are terms that you will hear. When it gets a little bit breezy, you can use terms about the wind. When we talk about the wind, we say there is a gale, or we say there is a breeze. If it gets a little bit heavier, we can say there's going to be a hurricane. Hurricane is a term that's used in the Western world, in the Western Hemisphere. In Asia, where I live, we always talk about a typhoon. Typhoon. And usually this occurs when the pressure, the air pressure changes too quickly. So the high pressure and the low pressure is another term we use in weather when you hear the weather report. When there's a sudden change in wind, it's called a squall. S-Q-U-A-L-L. Squall. Let's talk about the rain. We can describe the rain in many different ways. We say, of course, it's going to rain. But if we want to be more descriptive, we usually use terms that will actually tell us specifically how much rain there's going to be. If it's only a little bit of rain, we'll say it's going to drizzle this afternoon. If it's a little heavier, we'll say there's going to be showers this afternoon. Now don't confuse showers with baby shower or wedding shower. In this case, a baby shower or a wedding shower is a party that's usually held for a bride, someone who's going to get married, or for a baby, if it's a baby shower. Usually 1 or 2 months after the baby is born, they have a small party, a get-together where they give gifts to the baby, eat some cake, maybe some snacks, and they call this a baby shower. So don't confuse it. But shower is generally used when we talk about rain. So that's kind of still light rain, a little bit heavier than a drizzle, but not very severe. If it gets very severe and you have to bring out an umbrella and it's really pouring, we call that a downpour. A downpour. Or we can say it's going to be drenching rain. Drenching rain. Along with the rain, sometimes we get the boom, thunder, and lightning. And then we have what's called a thunderstorm. A thunderstorm. If you're living in Canada or parts of the world where there is snow, we have snow, and then we have, like this, hail. Hail, H-A-I-L. Hail is like little golf balls of snow that fall, and hail is very dangerous. I've seen hailstorms where they dented a car with little marks after the hail fell onto the car. So other terms you're going to hear about from the weatherman are, he's going to talk about the forecast. And of course, when he talks about the forecast, he's trying to predict what the weather will be in the next day or the next week. And if it's going to be a severe thunderstorm, he will generally tell you it's going to be a thunderstorm coming tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Please take your raincoat with you. You can experience some thunder tomorrow afternoon. So that means it's kind of a dangerous time to go out. You should take precaution, take some warning. If you're living here in where I am, we have what we call high humidity all the time. The humidity is the amount of moisture, the amount of water that's in the air. Usually sometimes 70 or 80%. If you live in an area where there's high humidity, you will sweat a lot. We do here. Every summer, the humidity can go up to 90 or 95, and the temperature is very, very high. And so we don't like to go out in the street when the weather is very humid or has high humidity. Some verbs that you'll hear in a weather report are blow. So the wind is blowing very strongly. You hear a term like drift. Usually we talk about a drift, it means we're talking about the snow. So the wind and the snow is coming at the same time, and he will say there will be drifts up to 20 or 30 kilometers an hour in the westerly direction. So he will tell you the direction and how strong the wind will be and how far the snow will be drifting and what direction it's drifting in. Mist is like fog, but it's very, very mild form of fog. Pour is another word that we use, P-O-U-R, when we want to describe rain. So that's again like a downpour or a heavy rain is pour. We can also say the weather is breezy or chilly or cloudy or dreary or dry. And back where I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, it was foggy. In England, they talk about London fog. They talk about pea soup fog. Pea soup fog. It's very thick fog. You can hardly see anything in the thick fog. In Canada, where I grew up, it's freezing. The weather is freezing. Sometimes we say it's frosty. Frosty. And when it snows a lot, we say it's very hazardous. Hazardous. So in Canada, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, will tell you, stay at home. The roads are very slippery. You shouldn't go out in this weather. Visibility is another term they'll use. The visibility is less than half a kilometer. And so even with the lights on in your car, the headlights on, you may not be able to see that far. So they advise you to stay home. And then another term for this, we say this is inclement weather. Inclement weather or severe weather. So those are the terms you're going to hear in a weather report. So what are things that use in everyday language that sound like weather terms but are used commonly as idioms? Well, let's take some of the terms we've just learned and learn some of the idioms that are associated with those terms. We have first, bolt from the blue. Bolt from the blue. So this is like a lightning bolt, something that comes from nowhere. It's a surprise. So maybe a friend or a relative comes from out of town. Surprisingly, they didn't tell you. They're a bolt from the blue. Next, when you go into a party and you don't know someone and you go up and you introduce yourself, you break the ice. You're breaking the ice. Hi, my name's Herbert. What's your name? That's breaking the ice. When the rain is very severe or there's a downpour, we can say that it is raining cats and dogs. Raining cats and dogs. When suddenly the weather turns cold, like it does in Canada, you can say there's a cold snap. A cold snap. Hot air. Hot air. So we say someone is exaggerating something. They're telling you how big the fish is that they caught. They're really kind of telling you almost like a lie. We say they're full of hot air. Full of hot air. And then we have a wonderful saying, rain on one's parade. Rain on one's parade. So someone comes in and they tell you something really excited, maybe they won the lottery, and you say, that's good, that's nice. So we say that's raining on one's parade. Someone comes in with exciting news and you kind of poo-poo, you kind of, put it down, it's not very important, So that's raining on one's parade. Shoot the breeze. Shoot the breeze. So why don't you come over here and let's shoot the breeze. Let's have a chat. Let's have a little conversation. Let's catch up with each other. Shoot the breeze. Silver lining. Silver lining. There is a silver lining in every cloud. So we use the word cloud to talk about something unhappy, maybe depressing, but our friend will say, hey, there's always something good, everything that's bad. Where's the silver lining in your cloud? take the wind out of your sails. This is very similar to rain on one's parade. You're kind of just poo-pooing, you're belittling someone else's achievement. So that's taking the wind out of their sails. Up in the air. When you're not sure about something, everything is up in the air. No one has decided what they want to do, so everything is up in the air. And finally, if you're a tough person, you have problems in life, it's still no big deal, because we say you can weather the storm. You can weather the storm, and you can look after yourself, no problem. So remember our saying for the day, we must weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. And that is how you weather the storm.